Hello and welcome to the video highlights of the 2016 Clockwise Championship final. It was all to play for between Andy Summers and Tom Kitchener, but a poor qualifying from Andy, seen here trying to get past Paul Whiffen, meant that Tom, if he could hold out his pole position and win race 1, he'd set himself up nicely for a shot at the title in race 2. While qualifying may have been a minor inconvenience for Andy, a move here up the inside of Paul Whiffen into the hairpin moved him back into contention and into the podium places. Todd White was also looking to finish his year strongly, lining up a pass on Paul himself. A small tap to Paul's rear, however, through the final corner only put him in the clutches of Kurt Partridge behind him. Down the main straight then, and as we approach the braking zone for turn 1, Todd ditched 2 wheels on the grass and John Pethick comes flying in out of nowhere. His car looked completely out of control, but somehow he made it stick and the place was his. Todd White was still having difficulty passing Paul Whiffen, who, as you can see there, was making a few adjustments to his seat, perhaps not quite as comfortable as he would like to be. He'd had an awesome qualifying though, lining up in 3rd place behind the front runners. We can see here Tom Kitchener and Jamie Wesson both having what would turn out to be a titanic battle for the lead. Back on board with Todd White then, and as we make the run down the back straight on the approach to the final corner, another tweak of the seat setting there from Paul Whiffen perhaps loses him a bit of concentration. He goes wide through the final corner and Todd manages to get on his right up the inside as they make the run down the main straight. Todd completes the pass before they even reach the apex of turn 1, and John Pethick decides he'll take ownership of the space on the inside too. We rejoin the action at the head of the field where this battle is starting to heat up. Tom Kitchener needed to hold off Jamie Wesson in order to secure himself some much needed points to try and square things up before race 2 in this final round of the year. Jamie was not going to make it easy for him, however. He was getting good runs out of the corners, but Tom was placing his karts in exactly the right places. You can see here Tom keeping to the grass line as they approach turn 1 and just blocking Jamie off as they go through the first corner and around the light bulb turn of Sutton's twisting tarmac. This race was still young, however, and there'll be plenty of opportunities for Jamie to get by. He just needed to be patient. Again, another look at the hairpin. Now up through the final corner. Needs a good run off of that final apex. And as you can see there, he's slowly reining Tom in. Tom has a look over his shoulder to see where Jamie is, and as he moves across, just touches Jamie slightly on the front right and pushes him very narrowly onto the grass. No harm done, however, and when there is a championship on the line, you race hard. Through the final corner once again then, and although these two were racing flat out, it was clean and fair. Some of the best racing for the lead of a race you will ever see. Again, side by side into the first corner, rubbing wheels on the way in. Jamie just not finding enough purchase around the outside. Tom carrying a lot of speed into the apex as well. Both drivers were very keen to miss Richard's cone just on the exit of the light bulb, and again Tom needing to defend heavily going into the hairpin. Along the back straight then, and Jamie trying to tuck in behind Tom for as long as possible before pulling out to the left, hoping that keeping Tom tight against the inside of the track would cause him to go wide on the exit. No such problems for the experienced front runner though. The Wednesday champion sticking to the inside and has a little jink as he thinks about where best to place his car as they proceed through Sutton's tight turn 1. Up again then through the final corner, and Tom just getting a little tiny flick of oversteer on the exit, and that allows Jamie to have an excellent run at Tom, probably the best one yet, and he brakes later than Tom, still not enough purchase around the outside to hold. And I don't think Tom was ever going to let Jamie go around the outside there. Once again here, you can see rubbing wheels, rubbing side pods on the way into turn 1, and Jamie could just not find a way past. Tom was defending like his life depended on it. He knew everything rode on the result of this race. If he couldn't get fastest lap, he at least needed to secure the win. Failing that would just leave him with too much to do going into the final race of the season. This race was drawing to a close, however, and Jamie was running out of time. Not content to be a spectator in this championship, he was going to have one last run down the outside of Tom to make him earn this race win. And with Tom holding off Jamie there, he managed to cross the line at the end of the race, thumbs up between the two. And what an epic battle that was. This is the finale then, and the title will be decided over the next 18 laps. Andy Summers was not hanging around getting up the inside of Todd White out of the first corner, but when that move didn't work, out of sheer desperation he simply pushed and barged his way up the inside of Todd through the light bulb. Todd and Jamie went wheel to wheel through the switch, but Todd had to look to his left because Tom, not wanting to let Andy get away at any stretch, made a brilliant move to undercut them both. In the run up to the hairpin, Jamie and Todd rubbing wheels through the loop, shake of the head there from Todd, Jamie with a courteous thumbs up. That was some pretty intense opening lap action. But the race now beginning to settle down as an order starts to form. We switch on board with second place man Kurt Partridge, who's hunting down Paul Whiffen for the lead. Kurt had never gone an entire Sutton season without winning at least one race. Would he at last be able to make amends? Paul Whiffen getting a scruffy exit out of the light bulb. That allows Kurt an opportunity, a nice gap up the inside. Moves himself into the lead, but you can see there from onboard Jamie's camera, there was quite a train forming behind the two as John Pethick and Andy Summers look to join in the fight. Andy then making his move up the inside of John Pethick through the final corner, but as they charge down Sutton's main straight, they go wheel to wheel. Andy just inching ahead before the first corner, but John Pethick, spying a gap at the apex, goes for it. Sadly it doesn't quite come off, and that allows Tom to take the exposed gap through the light bulb corner and move himself another place up onto the back of his rival for this championship. John Pethick is never one to lay down though, and after a small gap at the hairpin emerges, he makes contact, and Tom rightly pointing out there, what is the deal with that? It was a bit of a dive, but he's got away with it, and Tom now being put at a disadvantage as he sees Andy disappearing off up the track and away from him. Looking in the bottom right of your screen, then you can see Kurt having a little check behind him. He's got nice clean air in front of him to try and build a gap to the pack behind. Tom decides to give John a little tap up the rear to let him know what he thought of that earlier move, and as we go into the light bulb, John just goes a little bit wide, and as he washes out, Tom ducks underneath and Jamie joins in as well. Wheel to wheel up toward the hairpin however, and John with the inside line maintaining that place, and what he says with a hand gesture. It was becoming clear that John would not be easy to pass as Jamie and Todd continue to rub side pods through the loop. Back on board with Jamie then, and John Pethick gets a bit broadside going through the final corner. This would allow Jamie to get a nice run on him as they go down the main straight. John with a little look over his shoulder to see where Jamie is, sells him a dummy, goes for the inside line, but he goes too deep, breaks a little too late. John making nice work of a cutback, and if Todd was feeling a little less polite, then Jamie might have lost further ground as they entered the light bulb. Jamie is given a second opportunity then down into this first turn, and even though the gap is a little more obvious this time, he still goes too deep and has his efforts cancelled out by another fine cutback from John. Once again, Todd either isn't brave enough or far too polite to shove it up the inside of Jamie through that light bulb, and this train of three continues to battle for supremacy, with Jamie and Todd unable to find a way past John, and the latter seemingly unable to break the onslaught behind him. We're going to switch on board with our leader Kurt Partridge now and experience the moment that decided this title. As Kurt proceeds round the final corner, he receives a swipe at the right rear, and it's Andy Summers. Disaster there for Kurt, who was going so well, and you can see the karts here streaming past him as he rejoins the track, and he's rightfully aggrieved. However, the punishment could not have been more severe for Andy, who received a drive-through penalty for the incident, and it dropped him behind this battle between Jamie and John. You can just see him coming out of the pits there from serving his penalty, but Jamie finally getting his nose stuck up the inside of John, and this time making it stick. Todd trying to follow him through. There's a bit of squabbling, a bit of fighting. Todd very unlucky and unfortunate not to take advantage of that little skirmish, but Jamie now finally ahead, although he was finding it difficult to break away initially. You can see here he's having to go defensive against John down into turn 1, and this battle would continue to unfold with Todd applying the pressure. Meanwhile, out in the lead was Tom Kitchener, who had inherited that position after the tank between Kurt and Andy, and with his rivals so far behind, he was looking in a very strong position to take this title. Todd then going through the final corner, and has a little shake of his head. He knows he had a bad exit. That puts him under immense pressure from Kurt Partridge behind, and as he looks round and covers the inside line, Andy Summers comes flying in a fashion not too dissimilar to what we saw from John Pethick earlier. He gets ahead of Kurt but makes a bit of contact with Todd at the apex of the corner. Thankfully doesn't spin him out, but a bit of a banzai move that could have ended in disaster. And it's a bit characteristic of Andy's final race this year. A bit rushed, a bit uncalculated, and more than a bit desperate at times. A sense that he maybe let the pressure of the title fight get to him. And as he dances around the rear bumper of Todd White through the final corner, he receives a little nudge there from Kurt Partridge, which gives him a little bit of a boost as they head onto the main straight. Just allows him to get his front tyres up the rear of Todd, and he pushes him out the way into the first corner. Todd nearly going onto the grass, and that allows Kurt to dip up the inside at the apex and take the place as well. And as we witness these final moments of the 2016 season at Sutton Circuit, Kurt Partridge pretends to have a go into the hairpin just to make it look good for camera. But what a season it has been, with action and drama, with Tom Kitchener coming out on top to win the 2016 Clockwise Championship. We can't wait to do it all again next year, and we hope you will join us. See you then.